Moving out for the first time, wow, it's a huge milestone, right? It's this huge leap into independence, but let's be real, it can also be a total minefield of stress, especially when it comes to money. So the big question is, how do you know if you're actually ready? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down. We've got a 5-step framework to give you some real clarity. So I want you to really ask yourself this, because, being ready isn't just about being sick of your parents' rules or wanting your own space. It's a massive shift in your entire life. And here's the deal. Getting ready is really about two big things. First, there's the money side of things, budgeting, saving up, actually paying your bills on time. But then there's the other side, the personal readiness. Can you handle everything from making your own dinner to fixing a leaky faucet? It's all part of the package. Okay, so to help you figure all this out, we've put together a super practical 5-step guide. We're going to tackle how to rethink your rent budget, build up a financial cushion, uncover all those sneaky hidden costs, master what we're calling adulting skills, and finally, how to time your move just right. All right, first up, and honestly, this might be the most important part of the whole thing, we need to rethink what you can actually afford for rent. And to do that, we have to talk about a very old, very broken rule. Okay, let's just rip the Band-Aid off right now. That old advice, the one everyone's parents tell them, that you should spend no more than 30% of your income on rent, yeah, that's basically useless in today's world, especially if you're trying to live in a major city. I mean, think about it. In places like London or New York City, you're looking at renters who are pretty much forced to spend 40, 50, maybe even 60% of their take-home pay just to have a roof over their head. So here's the key takeaway, the big mindset shift you need to make. Forget about your gross salary. Stop looking at that big pre-tax number. The new reality, the only reality that matters, is your net income. That's the money that actually lands in your bank account after all the taxes are taken out. That is your real number. That's the one you have to work with. And this chart, it breaks down this new way of thinking perfectly. So if you can keep your rent under 25% of your take-home pay, you're in the comfortable zone. Nice. From 25 to 33%, that's manageable. But look, in most big cities, you're probably going to land in this stretched category, which is 33 to 40%. And what's crazy is that the source material points out that even hitting 40% can be optimistic in a city like London or New York. So really, think of that as a huge red flag. Anything over that is just, it's not sustainable. You can't live like that for long. Okay, so once you've got your head around a realistic rent number, that brings us to step 2, building your financial cushion. This is your safety net, and it is absolutely non-negotiable. You need this before you even think about signing a lease. So what's the magic number? It's 6. That's right, you need to have at least 6 months' worth of essential living expenses saved up. And let's be clear, this isn't money you've got tied up in stocks or some long-term investment. This has to be liquid. We're talking about cash in a savings account that you can get to, like tomorrow if you need to. This is your oh crap fund, right? For if you lose your job, your boiler breaks, or, any of the million curveballs life loves to throw at us. So what does 6 months of expenses actually look like in real money? Well, as this table shows, it depends a lot on where you live. Take New York City, for example. If your basic monthly costs around $3,500, your target savings goal is at least $21,000. Or look at Sydney. With monthly expenses tipping over 4,000 Australian dollars, you need a safety net of at least 24,000. I know. These numbers can look pretty intimidating, but this is the reality. This is what it actually takes to be secure when you're out on your own. All right, so you've got your budget dialed in, you're working on your savings goal, but what about all the costs that aren't on the monthly rent check? This is step 3, and it's where so many people get tripped up. This is so important to pay attention to because every city has its own unique set of hidden costs. So in New York, you could get hit with a broker's fee that's equal to an entire month's rent. Ouch. Over in London, you've got something called council tax, which can be a couple £100 a month, plus you have to pay for a TV license. In Berlin, it's pretty standard to put down a 3-month deposit. And in Sydney, they call it a bond, which is typically 4 weeks' rent. You absolutely have to factor these big, one-time costs into your moving budget. And just to give you an idea of how specific and, let's face it, weird some of these local requirements can be, get a load of this. In Germany, a landlord is probably going to ask you for you ready for this? A Mietschuldenfreiheitsbescheinigung. Yep. All that means is it's a piece of paper from your old landlord that proves you don't owe them any back rent. It's just a perfect little example of the kind of hyperlocal paperwork you might have to track down. Okay, so we've talked a lot about money. Let's shift gears for a second and talk about practical, real world skills. Because being ready to move out isn't just about having enough cash in the bank, it's about, being able to actually function as an adult on your own. So think of this as your pre-move adulting checklist. Yeah, it starts with the obvious stuff like budgeting, but it goes way beyond that. Like, can you actually cook? Even a few simple meals. Because trust me, ordering takeout every night will absolutely wreck your budget. What about basic home maintenance? Changing a light bulb or plunging a toilet so you don't have to call someone for every little thing. And this one is huge. Have you ever actually sat down and read a lease agreement cover to cover? It's a legally binding contract. You really need to know what you're getting yourself into. And the best part is, the perfect time to practice all these skills is right now while you still have a safety net. All right, we're at our final step, strategy. Once you've got the money side and the practical skills down, the very last piece of the puzzle is timing. You want to jump into the rental market at the absolute smartest moment. So, what signals should you be looking for? Well, first up, vacancy rates. If you see that more apartments are sitting empty, let's say the rate is above 2%, that means landlords are getting a little desperate and you have more room to negotiate. But if it's below 2%, like it often is in places like Sydney or London, well, that's a landlord's market and you've got way less power. And here's a pro tip. Think about the season. Demand for apartments goes through the roof in the summer. So if you can, try hunting for a place in the fall or winter. You'll have way less competition and you might even get a better price. The key is to watch these trends for a few months before you make your move. It could literally save you hundreds of dollars. So there it is. We've gone from throwing out that old, busted 30% rule to building a realistic budget based on your actual take-home pay. You've got a clear savings goal, you know what hidden costs to look out for, you have a checklist of essential skills to master, and a real strategy for timing your move. This is the framework. This is how you take control of the process. Look, let's be honest. The rental market out there is brutal, and your budget is probably tight. I get it. But with this framework, you're not just flying blind anymore. You're not just guessing. You can actually build a solid, concrete plan. So that leaves just one question. What's your next move?